Fuel like the pros at this race with Morton's hydrogel system, drink mixes, gels, and solids that work together for clean, efficient carbs. Get 20% off your order at morton.com with Vuelta 2025 as the code. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe on the attack, Vingegaard and Almeida on the defensive. This was the hardest mountain. Well, that's not true. Maybe it's a pretty hard finish. 5Ks, 11%. We've got Bola del Mundo on stage 20. We've got the TT tomorrow. This climb's very steep, but then it levels off. It's 3K, 7% to the finish. The last 300 meters is a 10% punch. Strong winds. You'll see why the landscape is susceptible to strong winds at the finish. Where they start more on the coast is rainy, and then they're heading into inland in Léon, Castille-et-Lyon. Visma Lease Bike controlling the stage, so they didn't control the Farapona stage, but now controlling this stage. Breakaway had a well-placed GC rider. Tejada was fringe, just outside the top 10 in 11 minutes, like fringe top 10. But I think he was, this was being controlled so tight, it was clearly for the stage win. Visma are down on numbers, though. Campanart's out with sickness. Zangler crashed out on stage 2 or 3, and so riders now like Kuss having to get bid-ons. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe as a team, on the other hand, are looking quite strong. Tim van Dijk, Dens has been very strong in breakaways. Zvihoff, Sobrero, Aliotti, so they're going all in for their two leaders, Pellizzari and Hindley. Tiberi tries to attack out of the breakaway. He's got Torsten Trans GC maybe to defend a little bit, who's in the top 10 at the moment from Tejada. But it all changes with 20Ks to go, who's leading at the front of the peloton. It was Visma with Kelderman and Van Baarle, but you see these really narrow roads, mostly going uphill, and even into the entry of the last village before the Moradero climb starts, how narrow it is, and then they go left over a bridge. So Bora Hansgrohe had an idea to line it out. They do so first with Dens, then Tim van Dijk, and then there's a 1.5k 9% climb before the actual Cat 1 even starts. And so, yes, Sobrero mows down the breakaway. Samitier is the last man to get caught. Then it's Aliotti. So they just use up all their domestiques, Red Bull Bora, before the climb even starts. Aliotti does the last hill, and it whittles down UAE Team Emirates. Großschartner's getting dropped. Vine gets dropped at the start of the final climb. Felix Gall was immediately on a gap. Le Cerf was dropped, the Soudal Quickstep rider. On the little plateau for a K, Tullett takes over, and he begins to pace in the peloton on the beginning of the Moradero, where you can see how it's really steep for 5Ks, then it's not as steep, and then the wind plays a big factor, and you'll see why with the scarred landscape up at the top. But Großschartner dropped. Almeida, no teammates. Visma have 4 in the group, but after pacing of Tullett, Jorgensen starts to slide backwards, and that's where we're going. Up, 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 up. Can Almeida take back some time on Vingegaard? Will he be able to attack him? Visma were just setting a tempo with Tullett, but through this hairpin, you can see how steep it was. That's where Hindley attacks. Almeida dropped, or maybe just doing his own tempo. Tullett trying to get Vingegaard back to the wheel of Pidcock, who follows Hindley pretty comfortably. Pellizzari sitting on Almeida doing his tempo whilst Hindley's trying to drop Pidcock. So the battle for the podium, they've only got like 40 seconds between them. But Hindley can't shake Pidcock, and eventually he'll have to stop if Pidcock isn't yielding, and then Almeida's banking on then being able to come back when they slow down. And also Riccitello's ahead, so he's a threat. He's 30 seconds or so behind Pellizzari in the white jersey competition, so he starts to keep the pace going after Hindley stopped, but then Almeida comes back, and in about 1,700 meters, it levels off. It's not as steep when they get to like 3.6 Ks to go. So Pellizzari sets a pace. They tried to go for Hindley here to shake Pidcock. He couldn't, and so they then default to the next best tactic, which is Pellizzari and Hindley themselves rolling surges, rolling attacks. And with no other riders in this group having teammates, it would prove eventually to be pretty effective, because Hindley's Pidcock's problem, but whose problem is Pellizzari? It's not Vingegaard, it's not Almeida. He's on 4 minutes. They're not going to chase him. Pidcock has to worry about Hindley. So, I mean, eventually Pellizzari would become a threat to him, but he's more worried about Hindley and defending his 40 seconds to him. He's got 2 minutes to play with, and he can gamble a bit. Hindley then, when Pellizzari gets caught back again, attacks, and that sets up again. You can see the wind was blowing, so there were some sections with a bit of tailwind to get up to speed. Now they got a pretty strong cross headwind. Once Pellizzari's got a gap, like, yes, a headwind is in theory bad for aggressive racing, but if you have a gap and you have a teammate sitting in and no one wants to pull behind, then a headwind's actually your best friend because, yeah, the others just do not want to pull with Hindley benefiting. Pidcock cannot risk Hindley taking more time on him. The only man who really probably should have just gone to the front and set a pace was Riccitello. Firstly, because Pellizzari is his main threat for top 5 in white. And secondly, because Felix Gall was dropped and Riccitello actually finishes the stage 2 seconds behind him. So attacking probably wasn't the play because, yeah, he wasn't winning the stage anyway with the punch of Hindley, Pidcock, and Vingegaard in this group. But in terms of I haven't spoken about Hindley or about Almeida or Vingegaard. They did nothing. They did nothing. So after pacing all day, Pellizzari gets the win without Vingegaard hitting the wind except for chasing Tom Pidcock at the finish. And you see the legs weren't lying. The two men who were strongest on Morrodero in general were the strongest at the finish behind Pellizzari. Vingegaard getting beaten on a short punch for the second time in the last week and a half, but he does look behind and sees he has put 2 seconds into Almeida, so no big battle between the numbers 1 and 2 at all. Pellizzari wins the stage, his first professional win. It was coming, huge win for him. He was good in the Giro last year on Bardiani, and then there's pretty small gaps between the rest. We have a TT tomorrow, 28k flat time trial in Valladolid. So we're more inland now. This was the TT in maybe 2023. Vingegaard lost a bit of time, maybe 25 seconds to Almeida. We'll see tomorrow. He's got 50 seconds to play with. It's probably unrealistic for Almeida to take that time back. I don't actually expect many changes in the GC order tomorrow based on how they're all performing. Like, Goal is a bad time trialist, but so is Riccitello. So they're the closest on GC. Same with Pidcock and Hindley. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.